We had a store in Hanover, and we were Jewish, naturally. And that store, and at night they put a big black, in big letters, black letters, Jude, on the walkway. And they wanted me to clean it. I went and had to clean it.
With a toothbrush? With a toothbrush?
I guess, no, not with the toothbrush. With the brush, we had to clean it and rub it to get it off.
What was the sign in Dresden that there was a problem? You said that you didn't get a sense that there was a problem as quickly as Berlin, but what happened?
In Dresden, I worked in Dresden, and when Jewish young fellows picked me up from work in the evening, they called me, and I think about it quite often, Judenliebchen, a darling of Jews. The Nazis there. They saw me coming out, somebody picked me up. He was Jewish, naturally. I didn't look so Jewish, and they called me, I'm the darling of the Jews. It was very... Then finally I had the passport, a stateless passport, and I showed it to him. I said, don't you say that. My nationality is Romania, which it wasn't. I was born in Germany, but that didn't count. So then he stopped calling me Judenliebchen.
Who was calling you that, a Nazi?
Yeah, they were all Nazis. If you want to know the truth, I don't know what was the percentage of Nazis, Herbert.
Nazis, then it became 60-70% after, even more. They were all Nazis then.
That's what I said.
And whoever wasn't a Nazi, they took him away anyway.
And especially one Gentile-looking woman walking with the Jew. That was horrible.
Now, when I was in Vienna with a friend of mine, we wanted to get out. We got on a train and we made connection to get a carrier. That means like they got here from the Mexicans coming to this country. This was a Slovak from Czechoslovakia giving us a direction on how to get to Czechoslovakia. So we got off the train and then we saw somebody, we were running and we were in a silo, we were in a farmer's house. And the guy who spoke perfect German, he said, I'm sorry, but I have to call the police, otherwise I have trouble. So the police came. They were bastards, not German, they were Slovaks, and asked us questions, and they sent us back over the river. We had to they put us in a boat and sent us over, and two guys were standing with a machine gun in case we wanted to get out and come back. And we got back to Vienna. Oh, these were the worst times to get out of Vienna. You were every day, every minute.
That's all you thought about, get out.
You never know what's going to happen to you today. But at least here, I am. At least at the moment, I can say I feel free. Right?
Do you think it could happen in America, Mark?
Do I? Yes.
Do you think
say
so?
yes?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
I do too, by the way. We just spoke the other day about it. It could happen here too. If there is a depression, the people don't have money. They will say, like the girl who comes every day to me, she will say the Jews have the money and we don't. That's all. And then if more workers, and the blacks don't like us either.
Yeah.
They don't feel we...
Yeah, but the blacks, if it happened here, the blacks would go too.
Do you remember anything else in Dresden? Because they were calling you the name and the darling of the Jews? Was that what told you that you needed to get out?
The situation. The situation. I couldn't stay a day longer in Germany.
Well, let me tell you, there were quite a few Jewish people didn't go out, didn't make any attempt to go out. They thought it was a temporary thing.
Harry's father thought this.
And
Harry's
the one
father.
who was
No, he kept
especially
sending Harry
thinking
around.
of.
What?
He kept sending Harry out, didn't he?
No, Harry's father said, Harry left on his own accord. Harry's father said, this is the land of Mozart and Beethoven. This will not happen here.
So it's a German.
Germany is the most advanced nation in the world. In the sciences, in medicine, in literature, in music, in everything. They're Nobel Prize winners. They're advanced in every capacity.
Yeah.
No, Neville Chamberlain kept listening to Hitler, who said, "Oh, we're not developing a military. Oh, we're not developing a military."
That's right.
So what did you were saying that a lot of the Jews didn't want to go, but what?
That's right.
What
They
was?
said,
Look,
Hitler cannot
let me
make it.
tell you, people in the. I'm not talking about very advanced age. I'm talking about people in their 50s and 60s. It's very, very hard to leave a country without any means, without any money, and without any knowledge even of the language. So they didn't want to go. They were sitting there and waiting for a change, and that change never came. Right? The ones who went out, fortunately, were the younger people. Like I had no desire to stay another day there, right? But my family was staying. Not only my mother, but the brothers and sisters.
So you were radical. They thought you were radical to want to leave.
No, not really. But if you think about it, it's terrible that people. There was one guy in Bolivia. I never forget. He hated this country, and he liked Germany. He always was saying, "I have everything is packed in the suitcase. When the war is over, I'll be back in Germany." There were a lot. Well, German Jews went back to Germany, right? Not too many, but quite a few were. I tell you one thing. I couldn't have gone back to Germany for no money in the world.
Have you ever been back to Germany?
They paid for us, for Margaret and
Robert
myself.
and me,
They paid.
for a trip. We were there one.
We were 1 week in Berlin. They
Yes.
paid us for the airfare, for the hotel.
Germany paid.
The German city government, right?
Why?
They wanted to show us that they changed.
That's
Right.
right.
So
And there was one Englishman, right?
yeah, about one
He came from back from
English,
England.
German Jew, but who lived in England, and they had people there. They were showing us different things, how they helped themselves now in Germany, and how the country has changed. This guy was always saying, "I don't like it now. I liked it better when I was here in 1942 during the war." After the war was over, when everything was bombed out, he said, "I liked it better then than I like it." But there were German Jews.
I didn't want to go, by the way, that week. I didn't want to go. We had friends, and they went, and they nudged and nudged. See, that's a German Jewish word.
Oh, I went to the cemetery
Nudged.
of my grandparents, right? My mother's parents, I went to a cemetery. And my grandfather was still buried there in 1941. So there was already very strong Nazi time.
41,
But
yes.
41 was, that's what the thing showed.
So they still buried him.
They're still buried.
They still gave him a gravestone.
Yes, it was in 41. I was surprised actually. But whatever I see in the paper and sports and whatever it is, if I see the Germans lose, I feel good about it.
Harry wanted to go back
I know.
the worst way.
Mm-hmm.
The worst way. He didn't. I don't think Fanny would have gone.
He
But
was
he wanted to go
he
back.
was a man who was he was very much German oriented, right? So, look. So the German Jews were very nationalistic. Unbelievable. I mean, there are a lot of Jews, they just couldn't believe that this is going to happen. They thought it's a temporary thing. You couldn't find a job.
It can
you couldn't
happen.
do any business. You know,
No
look,
question.
if you were a lawyer, you couldn't practice, right? If you were a doctor, you couldn't practice. Maybe in a Jewish hospital, that's all. But you couldn't get a job. No.
So that's our story.
If you were a lawyer, you were done, actually.
Oh yeah.
Hitler actually said in Mein Kampf that he wanted to take
Almost
out
any
Hitler wanted to take out the lawyers first, before the Jews.
almost any profession.
So it's you know, so you were there. You were out before the Breaking Glass Kristallnacht.
I was out just before the Crystal Night.
If
I
you
was staying with my girlfriend in Peru, and her husband came, said he wanted to talk to his wife. And my first husband we had a store, was still in Germany. And he didn't know what happened. So I think Mottek, called Nettie up and told her. And that was the story. Then I knew what happened. But nothing happened to my husband, nothing. As a matter of fact, he got rid of the store where I had to swap Jude. And he came to Peru, but Peru didn't let him stay. That's when we went to Bolivia.
You know, the whole world was really closed for us. It was very, very hard to get a visa. I mean, almost impossible. I mean, it's just no European country would let you in. I mean, if I think about it, here we stopped in Cuba. We couldn't get off the boat. And now it's after the war, 1946. We are coming on a Liberty boat to the United States. We both have visas. These little islands, which were British at the time, didn't let us come down. Bastards. The English, I tell you, they were not very good to us.
Tell us the country which was good to us, Herbert. Tell me. No, I'm not that I know of. England didn't let you in. They had children transports, England. Children were allowed, you could send children to England. I don't know any other country they let you in. To my husband?
yeah, your first husband.
We were living in Bolivia together. And then I went with Herbert, and he was still living in Bolivia. He immigrated to America too. He was living in New York. And he got a good pension and where I worked very hard. We had shoe store. And he sold it, or whatever he did, I don't know. And he got money for it. I think he was living pretty good in New York. I don't know, I never saw.
You know what I saw yesterday in the paper? It really burnt me up. The company is called Pinnacle. Did you read about it?
No.
It's a real estate company.
What is the name?
Pinnacle. Pinnacle, that's the name of the company.
No.
And the Jewish guy, of course, owns it, right? They are very active in real estate, Jewish people. Now, blacks are the ones who are the tenants. And they have certain laws. If they fix us up, he pays you for the repairs, for the alterations, and he reduces your rent. But there are so many shenanigans going on and so many things. Now, how anti-Semitic you think those people are going to be to their Jewish landlord? They're going to be, it's terrible when I read that. That's a Jewish landlord. So there are a lot of them. One guy played cards here. He did that. But
but Gentiles do it too.
But then it's not so bad because they think it's their country. That's the difference.
Do you agree with him?
I don't understand.
Margaret says Gentiles do it too.
Do what to? What the Schwarzes do?
Finagling in real estate, right?
No, the bad Jews.
Well, if a Jew does it, if a Jew does it, it's quite bad. If a Gentile does it, it's not
so bad.
Not so bad. No. He's not singled out as a Jew.
Fanny told me once that when she was in Germany, they came to the house, the Nazis, and they took away an aunt. Do you know anything of this? A relative of yours was...
What did they take away?
An aunt.
An aunt.
One of her aunts.
One of her aunts, which would be one of your aunts. Is this true?
Yes. This aunt lived, I inquired about it. She was a sister of my mother.
One sister.
How many
sisters?
There were other sisters.
Okay.
But this one sister was living with Fanny and my mother together. And one day they came, I asked Fanny about it. And I said, what happened? Frida was her name too. And we called it, little Frida was my sister and the big Frida was the sister, my mother's sister. And I asked Fanny what happened. She said one day they came and took her away. Didn't say a word, they just took her. We never heard of her again. My mother had the other sister. We never heard of her again, but we were not close. She was a complete different type of a person. I don't know if something or what happened to her. We were not in touch. I had, like I told you, my mother's sister, and I told Lotte Rosenthal, Ellen, the son, lives here. I said, for $100 you can get a visa. And she said they didn't have the money. And I felt she killed them.
Because you felt she had the money?
She had plenty of jewelry. She could have sold jewelry and get the $100. But she didn't.
When you say that she was taken away, it sounds almost cold.
Unbelievable.
What was the reaction?
They could come in here and
they took him. They said, "Come on with me."
They don't even have to. They don't even have to knock.
Right.
So what was the?
They come with us. That's the last.
That's the end.
Here.
They took my father once. It was 1933. No, 1938 probably. Nazis came in and took my brother. And we were running around that city, that was Hanover. My sister-in-law and I, we were running to see if we find him, if we could see him. They did bring him back. They didn't even hit him. I don't know what the reason was. I cannot tell you.
He never told you?
But he left then Germany. He knew it was not possible to stay.
What did the family? How did the family react?
My family was living in Dresden, and that was Hanover. Different city. I don't think they even knew about it.
What did you feel? Fear?
Fear. Terrible fear. They could kill you. The person itself, I don't think, was as scared as the relatives. Like my brother's wife, me, and his two sisters were living with my sister-in-law. I think Friedel only. I think you are scared. They can kill him. You are scared to death.
When you were in Bolivia, the war ended. When you were in Bolivia, did you hear about this on the radio?
There was a station, Montevideo, Uruguay, that is, and we listened to that station. Yes, remember?
Oh, that was a station. Actually, it was a station in Europe, run by German, mostly Jewish people, who were doing their things, their talk, and as if they were a German station, but they were not. And they were saying how many people they lost today and how much, and it was everything. And when Roosevelt died, they said the American president died, the Jewish friend, and so far, you know.
They said it was a Jew.
But
Roosevelt was a Jew.
But this was a station run by Germans, German refugees, right? And the greatest station.
We listened to it
every day. We listened to it. It was shortwave, you know. It was from Uruguay, Montevideo. That's a fantastic survey they did.
We were still in Germany, by the way, when Schmeling, Herbert?
Yeah, he just died recently.
Yeah. When he won, it was wonderful for us Jewish people in Germany.
Wasn't he a boxer?
What?
Schmeling.
I mean Joe Louis defeated Schmeling.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You mean Joe Louis defeated Schmeling?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
We were so happy.
Well, you were still in Germany during the Olympics, weren't you?
No, we were in South America.
You were in South
America. So you started to talk about the radio, but I think I want to get to the end of that story, which is the
radio.
War ending.
You turned this radio on. You thought you're listening to a German station, right? And they would tell you things like this would drive the German people crazy, you know. This counter propaganda they actually were doing
it was like anti-propaganda.
Anti-propaganda, right?
Because it was run by Jews.
But because it was probably run by Jews, you know. And that was a very famous station during the war. And we had that's the one station we listened to like clockwork every day.
Tell me where you were when you were listening when the war ended. Where were you?
In Bolivia.
But where? At the moment. You know the moment you were when Kennedy was shot?
He wants to hear the story of the experience of you hearing.
The elation that you had.
Well,
you knew you were getting close, no? You knew Hitler was losing, didn't you?
We knew that was over. It was only a question of days, right? Even of weeks. So
you weren't that excited when it ended?
It was not a surprise.
What was D-Day exciting?
D-Day? D-Day was more exciting to me than
Germany surrendering.
Than the capitulation of Germany. D-Day to me was a great day because then I still had hopes to get some relatives out. I didn't know the extent of how many of us they murdered, right? Nobody. We should have known. But
did you think the Americans might lose?
No, I never thought the Americans were going on.
Not a doubt in your mind.
Oh, there was no question in my mind. They had the equipment, they had the machinery, and it was ridiculous of the Germans to keep on fighting. They were losing one country after the other. They conquered the countries in 1938, 39, 40, and then they had to go back because they were losing all the time. When the Americans entered in 1939,
No.
that war was, for me, was.
Did the Americans enter in 39 or the Americans entered in 43 or 44?
39.
I
They
think
entered
42.
December 7, 1941, when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor.
Okay, but D-Day didn't
That
happen
is-
until...
D-Day is much later,
Yeah.
but this is the entry of the war was 1941, and then. But the greatest day for me was the 6th of June, when we had a couple Germans there at the mining where we were. Well, the Germans were ahead, and they were putting things on there, a map, and they put files on wherever they conquered, wherever they were leading. Then they were going, then it was going back. But
And they were Germans.
a lot of people were German friends, you know. There's no question about it. Especially people of German descent, right?
Many Americans went back.
Oh, look. But the minute D-Day happened, there was no question in my mind. Even before D-Day, there was no question in my mind.
As soon as the United States said they were into the war, you made
Oh,
your
yeah.
move.
There were plenty of planes. Yeah.
That's the fly.
Oh, I knew it.
We have it since yesterday. Can't get rid of them. Usually they go where the light is. I have the doors open and it should go there. Then I close the door. But no way. That floor.
D-Day was a tremendous day in this country and all over. D-Day, I mean, that was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Now, you were in Bolivia. The war was over. When did you decide you were coming to the United States, and how did you do that?
I had my brother and sister-in-law lived here.
They have quotas in this country.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in Germany. Herbert was born in Switzerland.
Those quotas were never filled.
We went to the consul and got the visa.
Can you imagine today you go to American consulate and you say you're born in Mexico, how long you have to wait? You have to wait 200 years to get into this country. And
We didn't have any problem.
if you were born in Poland or Italy, for example, it's the same thing.
Where was your father born?
He was born in Brooklyn,
And his family came from where?
Soviet Union, Russia.
From usually, yeah.
Yeah.
Who could understand it? We have I have a sister-in-law, sister. She walked.
You're not very successful. Okay.
She walked from France. Where did they walk to, Herbert? And took Nettie. Do you remember? Her feet were frozen. She couldn't walk.
Oh, yeah, the Pyrenees, from France to
The
Spain.
Pyrenees, yes. Right.
This was a relative?
You know,
No.
the story is, it's nothing now when you talk about it.
She lost both feet, both legs. She was her husband was a very religious Jew, but she had arrangement.
My boyfriend.
She had a boyfriend, Italian guy. And she had no time for her husband.
He carried her all over. Unbelievable.
That Italian guy really took care of her.
Gentile.
Oh, sure. You know, if you read the stories about Levi from Italy, right? I mean, that's the most tragic thing you can imagine.
He committed suicide, Robert.
He committed suicide. I mean, he was a wonderful, wonderful person too. But he couldn't overcome what he saw in Auschwitz. Elie Wiesel apparently overcame it and is very active.
Yeah. Did you have perspective at the time, like when you were being questioned? Was this like if police were to question me now, where I would not feel in danger? Did you have perspective to feel as though you were in real danger? Did you know how bad it was?
I did.
Oh, sure, I do.
You knew. You knew.
The worst time, I would say, almost, was my time in Vienna in Austria. The Austrians were, they were absolutely merciless. I mean, that to me is like it was yesterday. That's how bad it is in my memory. I always say the Austrians they were Nazis before the Germans were Nazis.
What made it worse? What were they doing that was so much more scary or real?
Apparently, it may be economic conditions, I don't know. But still, they just didn't like Jews, that's all.
And you knew that this was more than anti-Semitism. You knew that people were dying?
Oh, sure.
I think so.
How did you know that? Was it wasn't on the news, was it?
Is that before?
Oh gosh, no.
Is that before 1938 or?
When you were there, your story.
Of course, I knew. People were picked up and never came back. So you knew what was going on. If they came back, it was an accident. And look, whoever could get out, got out. But some people could not understand, Now, I was illegal in Berlin, where I couldn't sleep and stay at my mother because she lived in an apartment and there was another couple living. He was afraid anything. They're going to pick me up. I had to stay at a Gentile's house to sleep. That was the worst time. I mean, fear. This is a fear you have no idea. And then I came here, and I'm in the elevator going to work. I was here maybe 3-4 months. And I wasn't going out. I had to leave the elevator because it was the station I had to get off. I had to go to work. And a guy went there, always pushing over other people's side. He gave me a push. And I went to one day, not much later, I was looking for a job. And, that was like a deli. Also in Kensington, that area. And I was standing there and drinking some milk or whatever. And a guy came in and he said, oh, he had such terrible remarks about Jews. He never saw me in his life. And he was ready to kill an Irishman. I think Irish are the worst Jew haters. Irish are good Jew haters.
I think Germans win.
The Germans, they're a good competition. But look, you got things in Poland. I was reading a book. It's a book by Gross, just came out. There were Polish people which during the war were hiding and keeping Jews.
They called them the righteous people.
Keeping them from the Germans through the war. These people, these Poles, were asking the Jews not to say anything because the other Poles will kill them that they saved Jews during the war. They were not supposed to say anything. So that gives you an idea.
Yeah.
I was very close to my brother, yes. I don't think we saw each other at least once a week and talked to him. After he died, my sister-in-law and I, we were very, very much, I don't know how many times we talked during the day. Very much so.
Where was he?
Who talked during the day?
He was in Philadelphia.
The sister-in-law.
My brother.
Okay.
He immigrated 1938.
That's how we got to Philadelphia.
Oh.
I didn't know a soul here.
And then, when did he pass away?
51.
He was only 51 years old.
Wow.
So what year was that?
1951.
He was 51 or he passed away in 51? Oh, really?
Right.
Did he have kids?
No. She had a daughter. His wife from a first marriage.
Did you get it?
No.
No. It's a very odd flight.
It's the
You
fastest
can't get
fly
it.
I know.
I tried to.
Sorry, didn't mean to. He was just stopped.
Okay, so he had no kids. Wife had the first marriage, had a child, but
Right.
they're
We are not in touch with her.
Okay.
I couldn't stand her.
And my daughter is adopted like Gretel's.
okay.
And she has 2 children.
Right.
My daughter got very religious.
What about Martin and Kurt?
Martin and Kurt,
When they came to the United States?
I think Kurt was living in Argentina, actually. He came after Martin. Martin was living with us first. And then his parents came. And we were very close with Martin. And then his parents came, he moved with his parents, and then Kurt came from Argentina.
Mom and Gabi used to say that Martin was very good looking. Rita and Gabi used to say that Martin was very, very good looking.
Yes,
Handsome.
yes.
Yeah, he was nice looking. And very likable.
Yes.
Everybody loved him.
Well spoken, soft spoken.
You know, the job he had in New York, he left that job. I think he couldn't live in New York anymore. But nobody knew that. I didn't know it either, neither did Robert. And he went to Florida, and the guy must have had a good Christmas. He sent Martin, do you remember?
$2,500. Right.
That was for Martin, I don't know. We didn't know he didn't have money. We would have gladly given him money.
Who sent Martin?
He worked for a store there.
For a store in New York.
Always in the rag business, Martin.
No,
wasn't
not the rag business. It was
In Philly, he was in the rag business, no?
jewelry.
This was the import store.
Yeah, right.
Oh, it was a fabulous
I thought
store.
he dealt with
A
clothes.
very nice store.
It was amazing. Yeah.
And Martin is a born salesman. He's a born salesman.
Excellent.
And he spoke. Now Martin had one advantage. He spoke fluent Spanish, right?
German and English.
Right. And he had a job in Palm Beach, Florida. Also, these people were Spanish too, were Cubans. You can't leave till you
They
kill
love
them.
you. The fly loves you.
No, I don't get that.
Comes to you.
So, Wasn't Martin in the clothing business at one point? No.
But
Martin. He was never in the clothing business?
Did you know Martin?
with his parents,
Yes.
he was.
Yeah. I had visited the store even on a number of occasions.
Kurt
in New
had
York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kurt had a car dealership, no?
He was a
Kurt,
very,
he did car repairs.
he was a loved man. He really was. Everybody loved him.
Martin. Not Kurt.
Kurt
Was the opposite.
he was just unlucky.
And you know the letter he wrote, it's a touching letter. Touching letter. I don't know where it is. Touching letter.
What did the letter say?
The letter was actually praising me. How I saved them, or those, they were 6 people alive. And he was very thankful for it.
And this, when did he write this, or when was this letter passed to you? After his death?
That was written maybe 6 months, 8 months before he died. Maybe not even that long.
And I wasn't very close to him. I was close to Martin, but not to Kurt. In account of Hannah. I couldn't be close with them. And Gilda is a very nice, pretty woman.
But they
You know what happened here? This is 30-some years back.
Who?
30-some years back.
Oh.
One of the Kurt's daughter got married
on Roosevelt Mall.
on Roosevelt Mall. And I was there with Carol to see it, you know. That was just unbelievable.
It was
I mean, this is to
terrible.
me the
But she's a very
To the
nice
fireman.
woman now. As far as I know.
fireman is right. Furstenberg, something.
Nazi fireman.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was or isn't. But the children, her children, I saw one.
What
Very,
about
very nice.
Oscar? Does he live with a family?
Yeah. He's got, I remember two daughters and a son.
I heard he got 5.
Not to his father, to his mother.
His father was, what was Kurt like?
His father was, I don't know. The later years, I think he was already a sick man.
I heard he was a very rigid man.
He wasn't when we were kids. Don't forget now, I'm 92.
Yeah.
When did
He
Carl
didn't
die?
have Alzheimer, but he came very close
I
to
think
it.
the last time, his birthday, I was 75 or 70, I forgot. I sent him flowers. And he cried and cried. Martin said, I wish you wouldn't have sent the flowers. He was touched. I don't think he was a bad guy. He was a sick guy. Let me say it this
Mom
way.
said he was very hard.
He was
very
a sick guy. He was sick. Wasn't he? Oh,
sick cow.
The one thing I heard how sick he was in the First World War, and his lieutenant or colonel, whatever it was a Hungarian guy. It was, Hungary, Romania, so one day he had a fight, a disagreement with his wife, with Frida. He says, I'm going to go to Europe, I'm going to go see my lieutenant. This is 70
he didn't know
years,
the name. He didn't know what.
70 years after the war. I mean, that's how ridiculous.
But when he wasn't sick,
He really did.
Kurt.
He was kind. He
Carl.
was sick already.
Carl.
His mind was gone. Frida didn't want to go on cruises with him because he was
No.
sick. She couldn't leave the cabin. He said, there's a young guy, you want to go to him? And things like that. He was sick. But he was kind, too. He was,
He
not
was
a bad
really
guy.
sick in his head.
I think Frida was not as kind as Carl was.
Carol is beautiful.
She is.
Beautiful.
Let me look at this.
You do it.
You want this one too?
It's standing next to your, in your office.
This is your grandmother, right? Mark's. And to this too.
We have the same grandmother.
Right.
Wow. The kids look great.
They're wonderful. Wonderful. Now, Matthew goes next year to college.
Look at this.
He don't know